Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Forex Daily Dimes. I am your host, Josh Lilquist, and has been a while since I've been with you. The markets have been very, very slow, which is fine, especially in the forex market, but not a whole lot to talk about on the YouTube channel. So today we're going to dive back into it. Thanks for coming on the show here today again. And I just want to note, next week we have a special guest, professional instructor, futures trader, options trader, currency trader, and stock trader, Jeff Manson. He'll be on the show next week. So he'll be talking about the forex market, especially with what stocks are doing these days. He will definitely be diving into stocks and options. So that being said, let's dive into the market here today. Let's start out with the euro dollar. All right, as we know, and we talk about the Forex Daily Dimes, we're diving into trading the quarters or the pennies, or we call it the dimes, right? So every 1,000 pips is every 10 cents in the Forex market, excluding the Japanese pairs. So with the euro dollar, right now we're sitting at about $1.18 even, $1.08 to 18.03 actually. And we had some pretty good movement up for quite some time. I had a guest on the show twice now, but this was probably about a month and a half ago, the first time he was on, and we were talking about the euro dollar, how bullish this was. And we talk a lot about when you get a close above this $1.1250 area. And by the way, before we get into any talking about price charts or price action or hypothetical trades, there is risk in trading. You can and probably will lose money at one point in the financial markets. You want to minimize your risk, and there's ways that you can learn to do that, and you have to take action to learn those things. So past performance is not indicative to future results either. So we were talking a lot about this $12.50 area. Once we got this close above there, I knew, I didn't know. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but my analysis says we're going to bring it back up to the $1.20 area. So once we got this close above this $12.50, which have been right here, we're dropping down to a 4-hour time frame. Once that 4-hour time frame happens, we want to close above the $13.25. So we have an entry point here, stop loss here, target, just bring it to the next 250 pip line, which would be the $1.15 area. Once this happens, it resets. We're going to let the bulls and the bears fight it. Once we get a close above here with our bullish bias, we want to re-enter, bring it to here. And as you can tell, with this sharp movement we've had here, we pretty much raced right up to the $1.20 area. And now once this has happened, we are in reset mode. So essentially nothing has happened. We're just waiting for, basically just waiting for a close above or below these hezzy lines. We call these hezzy bands. This is, what we call Forex Daily Dimes. We talk a lot about basketball references. This is half court, no man's land. Nobody's sitting at half court, right? So we want to get a close below or a close above to get our bias, then drop it down to the 4-hour chart. So that being said, not a whole lot going on with the euro dollar. We're just in wait and see mode. The dollar yen just closed the trade this morning. Had a couple entry points here. So if you missed the first one, so just starting off with our bearish bias on the dollar yen. As we know, the dollar has been in some bearish territory for, we'll say many, many years, but especially here on the dollar yen. So we had a close below back here in April 20. So we had a couple entry points, most likely a couple stop outs here. But just recently we had a close below on the 4-hour chart at $1.0675. So looking at the chart, we would have missed entry there. Got the first entry here. So this trade basically potentially could have been on since August 12th of this past year. Entry here short, stop loss here, target here. So if you missed this one, you had this opportunity to get in here. So then last night in the middle of the night it closed here. Looks like around between midnight and 4 a.m. So 4-hour chart. This is Central Time as well. All right. So now we are waiting for a close above or below on our hezzy lines on this 4-hour chart. We want to close below since we have our bearish bias here. Close below here, stop loss here, target here. So we want to short this, bring this down to here. So right now we're in wait and see mode on this dollar yen. I believe the Aussie dollar just got into a trade. It did. So on our weekly chart here, we finally got a close above here, right? On our weekly chart, drop it down to our 4-hour chart. We got a close on the 15th, which would have been yesterday. So our entry point here, right now we got some little selling pressure here, so we're sitting in a negative position, which is fine. That's why you have a zone. No one's ever going to pick tops. No one's ever going to pick bottoms. That's why you want to pick a zone of an area of interest. Have a preset stop loss, which would be the 72.50 area, and a preset target up to the 75-cent area. Okay. If you have any questions as we're talking through this, if you're watching live or if you're watching it recorded, feel free to type any questions in the chat, anything that you want to talk about. If you want to analyze a certain pair, we're going to go through several here today, also throughout the next coming shows as well. And I want to do a poll too. I've been doing the show in the evening around 8 p.m. Central Time. Is that better in the evening, or would you guys like to hear this and see this this show here in the afternoon, anywhere between noon and I guess 10 a.m. Central Time and 2 p.m. Central Time? So if anybody wants to comment on that, feel free. Moving on. So dollar CAD. The dollar Canadian has been selling off since the beginning of March, right? So we had a lot. Once we got this close below here, we had a lot of selling opportunities here, as you can tell. Back starting right around here, 2 selling opportunities there, sometimes twice. Okay, so we still have this reset here. So we got down to this $1.30 area. So basically, we're reset, wait and see mode. Not a whole lot to do there. The dollar Swissy, dollar Swiss franc. Okay. The dollar Swiss franc is also in wait and see mode. And by the way, trading and investing, you don't have to be in a trade all the time. Waiting for your entry points, you want to buy at a wholesale price and you want to sell it at a retail price. You don't want to chase price. Think of it this way: if you went to the grocery store and you were looking at a loaf of bread, and that loaf of bread was $2.50. No one's ever going to say, I'm going to wait until it gets up higher and then buy 2 of them, right? You're going to wait until it drops below, or you get a bias, you get a selling offer, buying at a discount, right? Buy at a discount, maybe sell it to someone on the street for $2.50. That's a bad example, but we'll let it ride. All right, moving on to the euro pound. I believe we have an opportunity coming up here, which we do. So we have finally got a close. This is a pair that's been kind of stuck in this no man's land for quite some time, really since 2016. Not a whole lot of opportunities here, but that being said, we do have possible opportunity here. We finally got a close above this $92.50 area right here. So once we get above there, we have our bullish bias. All right, so we got the close now. Entry point on the 4-hour chart. We want to entry at the lower hezi band, which would be right here. Stop loss here, target here. So we have an opportunity here. Like I said, this pair, I mean, it hasn't really been on my radar very often because it just hasn't moved. It's not doing a whole lot. Is it worth trading sometimes? I mean, you can kind of put your best judgment if you want to be able to if you want to take these trades. Not a whole lot of opportunity here. New Zealand CAD, this one here, I believe we have a short bias. We have an opportunity to short it once we get up here. So we had a close actually right here. So we had a few shorting opportunities already. Looks like we had a stop out right here, entry here short, stop out, right? That's why you want your stops or your losers much smaller than your winners. So when you have a 75 pip risk and a 177 pip or 172 pip reward, you don't have to be right every time, right? So that being said, we have another shorting opportunity up here. Let's do a little circle there so you guys can see. Let's see. Ellipse. So once price gets up here, might want to look to short. Entry here, stop loss here, target here, and let it work for you, right? Not all trades are gonna work, but without any risk, there's no reward. Moving on to the New Zealand yen. This one here is sitting in no man's land, sitting in a half court. Moving on to the New Zealand Swiss franc. Same thing, not a whole lot going here, no opportunities, so you don't want to chase any price, you just want to let it happen. So we'll wait to see if we get a close above here or a close below the 57.50 area, and then we'll drop down to our 4-hour chart and enter on the hezi bands. Same risk and same reward on every trade. Moving on to the Australia New Zealand dollar. This one's been reset. We talked about this a couple weeks ago. We had a long trade here, buy point, closed out here, and now that it reset, we have no entry point. So basically, we want to wait and see where because basically what happens is we're talking about the institutions, the big banks, they're moving price. So as they are moving price from 10-cent area to 10-cent area, so from $1 to $1.10 to $1.20, whoever's winning, the bulls or the bears, once we get above there, we have that bias. All right, so once you have the bias, drop it down to your 4-hour chart, get some more context, and break that 1,000 pips into 4 250 pip segments. So that's that. Moving on to the Australian yen. I believe this one is also in reset mode. Oh, no, sorry. We have looks like we had an entry point here. We must have talked about this 2 weeks ago as well. Had an entry point here, target here. And we'll have another opportunity once it gets down to the 75 area, $75.75 area. These on the yen pairs, they go by two decimal points. Everything else is always 4, so this is just 2 decimal points. These don't really mean anything. Some people call them pipettes. Some people don't call them anything. So it's 75.75. So we'll have an entry point down here. So potentially you can take the same exact trade over and over again, really, and just until it doesn't work anymore. So we have a lot of wait and see right now, which is a good thing. You don't want to be chasing trades. So that being said, let's take a look. Today's Wednesday, and there was some news today. The Fed came out with their funds rate, kept it at under 0.25%. Right. So really, this press conference, which is going to happen, which already happened, that's where they're going to be talking about what's going on and everything. That's where we probably saw most of the movement. I actually wasn't on at that time, so I don't even know what has happened. As we were looking at the charts, we can take a peek at the euro dollar again. Not a lot happened. There was probably some volatility on a lower time frame, and we can break that down here if you want to. Let's break it down to 15 minutes. So we did see a little bit of volatility here. You can see this. I'm assuming this spike right here is at 1:15. 1 o'clock, yeah. 1 o'clock and 1:30. So, yeah, so not a whole lot of excitement there. Just the same old. So going back to that, let's check out and see what we have the rest of the week here. Today's Wednesday. Let's see. I think we can show the week here. So we got Australian dollar, got some unemployment news later tonight. Japanese yen has a monetary policy statement. They're projected to stay at the basically nothing, right around 0%. it's kind of a race to the bottom with all currencies and their interest rates. Everybody wants to be at the bottom. Even seeing a lot of talk about that. Tomorrow, pound has monetary policy, same thing. And you can even read these if you want to. It says, the usual effect, actual greater than forecast, is usually good for the currency. So just some extra information for those of you that like fundamental information. Nice to know, especially when there's big events coming up. It's nice to know what's happening. So if you have shorter term positions on, you can prepare for that because you're going to typically see some volatility. Friday, typical Friday, not a whole lot going on. So not a whole lot going to move the currency market the rest of the week after that Fed funds rate today in the U.S. So have the Australian a little bit tonight, and then the pound tomorrow. So pay attention to that. Keep an eye out for my Twitter. It's Josh Lilquist on Twitter. We're going to be posting a couple different things for the special guest next week, which will be Jeff Manson. He's going to talk about the futures market, currency market, but his big thing is Fibonacci. So I don't really know what we're going to call it yet. We're going to be calling something about, we're not fibbing with the Fib Master or something like that. So if you have any comments on what we can call that, he's going to talk a lot about his Fibonacci strategy, especially in the stock market, but the futures and Forex and options market as well. So that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you did, give a good old thumbs up on that. If you didn't, give a thumbs down on that as well. Put any comments in the chat if anything you want to hear next. Or if you have anything that you want to check out with the special guest Jeff Manson next week, comment on the Twitter or just hit me up on YouTube here, and we'll make sure to talk about some of that stuff. That'll probably be a little bit longer show. We'll probably do a half hour or so. I typically do about a half hour with a lot of the guests that I have on the show. So until next time, retire young, my friends.